So, so let's understand what is object-oriented programming, and first of all, why do we need that? Okay. So far, whatever we are writing, what programs we are writing, that is not kind of object-oriented, right? So whatever programs we have written so far, that are kind of procedural programmings, okay, or functional programming. Okay. Let me share my screen first here. I'll share the screen and show you. Give me a minute. So I was facing some issues opening browser. Okay, and that's let's
Okay.
begin.
Oh, can see now.
You can see.
Yes, I can see now.
Okay. See, so far whatever programs we have been writing, right? So all these programs are related. This kind of programs we are doing, right? We are just importing some libraries, okay, and writing some functions. So this is one function. Again, some code is written, some statements are there, right? And some more function is there. This is another function, and some more statements are there. Okay. So this is kind of procedural programming or functional programming, right? So if I write this kind of code, okay, the code load is increasing like anything, right? So I don't have any control on this code name. There could be this. If you look at this code, this is kind of probably this would be around 400, more than 400 lines of code, right? And that can easily go beyond 1000 lines of code. And this this lines of code is there, this much big program is there, it becomes difficult to manage that code. Okay. Tomorrow tomorrow if anything goes wrong with this code, right? So i need to I need to debug. Okay, there is no other option, but the debugging is also hectic thing. So line by line debugging the whole lot of code is there, right? 1000 or more than 10,000 lines of code is there, and I have to debug that code. So it would take time. It's not like I cannot solve that by debugging. It can be solved, but it would take some time. So why this is happening? Because the code is big, right? Code is large, and I don't know at what point I am getting that error. Probably I have written something. Logs are there. I need to get into log file and check where exactly I'm facing the issue. And at that, let's suppose I'm getting the issue in this function. So I need to put some debug point here and check that, right? But but managing this kind of codes, okay, And if any issues comes up, so I have to debug the code. This is again the hectic process. So we want to get rid of this, all these things. Okay. So what is the thing? What is the process for this? So instead of having this kind of large amount of code, can we break that code in some small pieces? Okay. This is the one thing. Another thing. Uh, I have this function. Okay. Df merge to S3 Snowflake. I know functionality of this function. What it does, it basically creates one file. Okay, write some data into one file and just store that file into S3 bucket. It's just pulling the data from Snowflake database, creates one file and stores that file into S3 bucket, AWS S3 bucket. This is the functionality of this function. Okay, now I want this functionality, the same kind of functionality in my another project. So can I make use of this function over there? I am having this file. It is one program, one file, or one project. Can I use this functionality in another project? Yes, that is possible. How? I have to just copy this function from here and two options. I have to write that functionalities from scratch in that project. Another option, copy this function from here and paste it over there. Okay. So can be done. But what I'm doing here is I'm just writing the function from scratch. This is one thing. And another thing, another option is I'm just copying this from one place to another. This is perfectly fine. But what is the issue here? If any functionality, if that project demands some other functionality, means some other changes, I have to do the changes over there my own. Okay. Or even if it does not require any changes, what I am doing is I am just replicating a same thing. I am just repeating a same thing again and again. Okay. Now, if what what if I have this functionality at some place, okay, and if I just call that function from there, means I am just reusing that functionality. Now I am reusing, but that is kind of some different kind of reusing. I'm just copying that functionality. I don't have to write that function again. Either I don't have to write that function again, or I don't have to copy that function again. I know this functionality is there in place. I just have to invoke that function. Okay. So what all these things what we are doing here, see, we are importing these libraries. Importing these libraries means that this functionality is there somewhere. Okay. And we get this functionality when we install Python, right? So all these libraries are stored there. Wherever that Python is installed, all these libraries are there. So we can easily get that functionality from there, from that library. So is there any way that we can do the similar thing in our project? Okay. With this kind of programmings, that is not possible. Then how now it is possible? Yes, if we have a classes, we can do that. Instead of writing this kind of procedural programming, if we convert this into class, that is possible. If I convert this file into some class and just keep all these functions as a part of that class, I can do that. Okay. I have to just import that class file into my program and just I can invoke this method. That's it. This is the one thing. Another thing, I have some functionality. Okay. Let's say some functionality is there in place. Okay. I have one file with that functionality. I have to include some more functionality in that, some more functions in that. So let's suppose this is my base program. Okay, this is my base program. I have to include some more functions, some more functionality into that. What I have to do in this case? Can you tell me what I will have to do? I am working on
Yes.
project. I am working on project. Okay, my project is done. Okay, it is tested, well tested. Okay, and this is my base file, base functionality. And from here, I'm calling all the functions. Okay, and if I want to later at later point of time, after doing all the testings, unit testing, integration testing, user acceptance testing is also done, and after that business comes up and tells me that we have to add this functionality also, some more requirements comes up. I have to add that functionality now into this. So what I will have to do?
You can create another class that
No.
inherits.
I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about the classes here. I'm
Okay.
talking about the procedural program. We have not moved yet classes. Move to classes.
Okay.
We are talking about procedural program. What I'll have to do? I'll have to open this file, add that functionality at somewhere at the end or the middle. The better thing is the
Sure.
wise thing is
Yes. Yes, sir.
wise thing is keep it at the end. So what I'm doing here is basically the well-tested class, well-tested file, program file. I am again taking that and I'm just making the changes into that. So once any changes have been made in the file that is already tested, you bound to test that file again, right? Isn't it? You cannot say that this
Yes.
is already tested. Now it's not necessary to test this. It's not required to
Yes. You
test
will
this.
have to
We
test
cannot. We
again.
cannot. We have to go through the whole process again. Unit testing, integration testing, user anyways in any project user acceptance testing is the final testing that has to be done, but unit testing also you have to perform. Okay, so what is the issue here is I know this program is already tested and that is working fine. So if I want to add one more functionality, if single functionality has to be added, okay, into that file, I have to test all the functionalities again, because you cannot say, like, you see, you'll never say that the anything that is already tested, and if you add something new thing, the original one would not break. It may break at any point of time. So in order to it should not break, we have to do the testing again. So here we are again investing our time into that testing. We are investing money also, because those many days would be required, right? So in earlier, let's say in phase one, I have invested 10 days for testing. Again, I would have to invest those many days. So money would be for those 10 days. Again, money would be required. Whoever is testing, I have to pay the money, isn't it? So
Yes, sir.
so this is what this. Hello.
Sorry, sir. There was some sound.
Sorry.
No, there was some sound from my side.
Okay, got it. Okay, fine. So these are the common issues in all procedural programming. Okay. So how to get rid of this? What is the solution? Solution is class. Okay. I'm not saying class is a perfect solution. Okay. There could be some cons and pros. Okay. For every program, but we can get rid of all these the issues that we have discussed now. We can get rid of these issues using object oriented programming. Okay. Now, what is this object oriented programming? So basically here, instead of writing the whole process, all things in the procedural way, we are just converting them into objects. So objects, if we are talking about the objects, we are just those objects are just representing the real world. Okay, if you look at your surrounding, you will see all the objects, right? What we are sitting in front of the computer, laptop, that is also object. If you look at anything that in our house, in our home, that is object only, right? Okay, and that object represents one class, blueprint. Okay, so this class is basically form of something, two kinds of things. What is that? So class is basically form of properties and functions. Functions in the class term, we call it as a methods. Okay, so every entity, if you look at every entity, is having properties or features, we can say, and functions. Okay, laptop is having lot many properties. It's body, its color, its shape. Okay, so what are the things are there? What are the softwares are there? Okay, so all these are properties. Okay, it's configuration, right? What we perform, what are the methods, what things that we perform on that object or that class, that is called a method. These are properties and the things that we perform on object, that is methods. That is methods. So far, is it clear? So far, what we discuss about the problems that we face in the procedural programming, what we write in the, no, I'm not saying procedural programming is a bad thing. So if it is a if it is length of the program is limited, okay, if you are working on a small project, that is fine, go with the procedural. If it is a complex programming and a big project, we have to go with kind of object oriented program. Okay, and if you look at the all the recent languages that are purely object oriented, okay, let's say Java or C++ is there. So these languages, C# is there. Okay, these languages come up with that approach only. If you open any file, right, so it starts with the classes. Okay, Python is not a pure object oriented programming. Okay, and that's why we can write procedural way programming into Python, and object oriented programming also we can do that in Python. So what we discussed about the limitations of procedural programming and how we can get rid of this using object oriented programming. That we have to see gradually how we can get rid of that. Okay, how to overcome these limitations in Python programming. First, what are the first limitation? Length of the program. Complexity. And due to length of the program, it becomes difficult to manage. Right? Reusability, can we use that again and again? Some functionality? No. So these are the common issues, right? Again, there is a kind of feature of programming, procedural programming, like global variables. Okay, so global variables is there. How using global variables, that becomes that makes actually life easy of programmer's life. Okay, so we can define some variables at globally and can access that from anywhere. Okay, but again, that is kind of curse to the programming. curse to a programmer, because if you are using global variables, anyone can access that variable and kind of make anything, any impact on the means bad impact on the program. Okay, it can if I have defined some variables, global variables, tomorrow you can open my program and change that variable or change the data of that program. Okay, at any point of time you can do that, and this is a kind of curse for that. So we can say global variable. This is kind of issue. Okay, even though it is easily accessible by using global variable. I have two different files. Okay, and I want the data from one file to another file, so I can just make that data as a global data, and I can easily access that data from another file. But that is again going against that program, because if any critical data is there and if you are changing that data from any other file, okay, that is going to create a bad impact on that project. Okay, so this should not happen, and that's why we are having some kind of features that we are going to discuss over here in object classes. So this is what the issues that we discuss. Okay, now to overcome these limitations, what object oriented programming gives us, let us discuss that. Encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, so these are the four types. Okay, encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism. So this we can call them as a pillars of object oriented programming. Encapsulation, abstraction is kind of hiding. Okay, inheritance, extending the features, and polymorphism is a different behavior of objects in different situation. Other things we are going to see as the abstract class and interface. Basically, this Python doesn't support interface through manner. Okay, other programming languages, object-oriented languages, Java, C#, C++, that support the interface. So here in Python, abstract class and interface are same, almost same. So you have to define abstract class that is working as an interface also. Okay, so let us discuss this encapsulation. So any query, whatever we have discussed so far, any query?
Sir, I had a question about the global variables in Python. So if, for example, if you have defined some variable inside a function, then the variable becomes private, no, since it's in the function.
No. Wait. Declaring a variable is a different thing, and making them a global, that is a different thing. See,
Okay.
if I have a variable like this, num equal to 0, this will become local. And when I say global num equal to 0, this is going to become a global. Okay. So this is a difference.
I was thinking that since if you declare a variable inside a function, it becomes private to the function.
Yeah,
I
it
was saying.
becomes private to that function. That's true. That's true. But explicitly, you can make it global this way.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other doubt? Parshuram, you have any query, doubts?
No, sir.
Okay. So let us move ahead. Encapsulation and abstraction. So these two features go hand in hand. So how I'll explain you. Okay. I'll give you one example. I'm working on one project, suppose, and employee is a class of that project. That is a part of that project. Okay. So as a part of that project, I am creating an employee. Okay. Now, as I said above, class is having properties and it's having some methods. So what are the properties of employee? Let's say his name, age, date of birth. Okay. Then date of join, his address, his phone number. I just declare this. I have to form this class. Okay. So I just declare these properties. Okay. And some methods like I am creating a class. I'm working on one project. I'm creating class. So what is the ultimate goal? I have to add one employee into my database, right? This is my ultimate goal. I have to add employee into database. Why do we need to add this employee into database? Whenever any employee, whenever any candidate is recruited in the company, his record would be added into the company database, right? And that is why we are doing this all this stuff. Why we are doing this? To recruit that employee. We have recruited that employee. Now we have to add that employee in our database. So in order to add that, what I'll do, add employee. What action I'm taking? Adding an employee. So this is my method. Probably in future I would need to update the record, right? So what I will do, update employee. I can take the action as an update employee. Maybe sometimes 1 year, 2 years down the line, that employee may resign a company. So I have to delete that record. So I can take action as delete employee. Okay. So these are the basic actions that I can take on this employee object, right? So these are the methods and these are the properties. Okay. Now, while creating this employee class, what I'll do, I need something else. Let's say suppose my backend is a SQL server. So I need to connect to my backend. So what I should have that connect database method, connect DB. Okay. So I'll just write this method also as a part of this class. Next, while storing a data, employee data, this is its data, right? I need to make sure that the data that I am providing to the database, that is a correct data. Correct data means valid data. It should not happen like in date of birth field, I'm just providing some string like this. Like this. Okay. So data that I'm providing, or age, here I'm just passing this value. Okay. Or 0. Okay. Or suppose 10. So this should not happen, right? 10 years old cannot be an employee of the company. You understood, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Phone should be in the proper format. Okay. Otherwise I can give like this. what would happen? Like this. Maximum length font should be 10. And if I'm passing this value, what would happen? Definitely I'm going to get an error, right? So that field length error. In my database, field length is 10, right? And I'm passing this value. So this data has to be validated before inserting that data into database, correct? So what I do, I'll just write another function, validate data. Okay. Now I write this class and provide it to the developer. Okay. Now developer can use this class and just in order to insert the data, he will just the developer in the sense front-end developer. Probably we have one form. Okay. So we are just filling that form, employee name, age, date of birth, blah blah blah, and just clicking on that add employee button. Okay. You understood, right? You are getting this, right? What I'm saying. There would be some form. Okay. On that form, some information I'm filling and clicking on that add employee button. Okay. And the moment I'm pressing that button, so what should happen? That employee data should get inserted into database, right? So before inserting, while inserting, it will just call this method. But before calling that method, I should make or I should make sure, that means confirm that the date it is connected to the database. So what I'll do, I'll just invoke this connect database function first. Okay. While clicking on that button, after clicking on that button, what as a developer, what I'm doing, click on this connect DB button. Then I need to make sure that I'm passing the valid data. So I'll just call this validate data method. And then I'll call this add employee. Give me a minute. Hello. तिला मी मेल केला ती शुभंगी खातर म्हणून ना कोणती तिला मी मेल केलाय आणखी अभिजितला सिस्टम मध्ये ठेवला हा बघतो ती कधी रिप्लाय देते ती कारण ते त्या वीकची टाइमशीट आहे ना ती हे नाहीये ऍक्सेसिबल नाही काय काय हो 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 ओके बघू आता ते काय म्हणते ते ओके ठीक आहे ओके hello okay okay so you got right what I'm going to do here is I'm just making sure that I'm connected to the database my application is connected to the database then I'll just validate that data and I'm just adding that employee so this is fine perfectly fine so this will work now let's say I'm a fresher okay I just joined the company and I am given some instructions from my seniors see you have to follow this order first you have to call this connect db method then you have to call this validate data method and then you have to call this add employee method okay I am instructed this way but tomorrow I forget this order what I do, I just try to call this method first. Okay. And then I'll call something this. Then I'll call this. Now the problem is I am not connected to the database. So while adding this employee, okay, in this method itself, my application will give an error, right? Isn't it? This may happen, right? If I am doing this kind of programming, this may happen. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is kind of, I am providing all the information to the developer. Okay. So as an architect, if I am designing this kind of things, the junior developer is bound to make the mistakes. He is going to do the mistakes, right? So the design should not be like this. Okay, so what I should do here is, instead of providing all the information to the developer, I should provide only required information. Now, as a developer, what is my requirement is, when I click the button, add employee button, it should only, I am expecting that the record should get inserted into the database. That is my requirement. As a developer, I'm expecting this. When I click on this button, that record should get inserted into database. What is happening behind the scene, that is not my lookup. Okay. What I am told that you have to invoke just one method. So in ideal scenario, what I should instruct the junior developer as, you have to call this method only. If you are clicking on add employee button, you should invoke this method, nothing else. So my design should be like this. He should not invoke these two methods, ConnectDB and ValidateDB. Just give me a minute. So you got my point, right? Hello,
Yes, sir.
Parshuram, you are getting me what I'm saying? So that developer should not call all these methods. He should only call add employee method. So if he has to call only one method, why should I give access to all the methods? Right? Why should I give him access to all these methods? ConnectDB, that is not his lookout. ConnectDB and validate data. So these things should be done by this class. Okay. So when I give this class to the developer should not write the functionality for these things. This functionality should be present there in this class. So what I do, instead of making this functionality public, so I make it private to this class only. And when I call this method, when I write the functionality of this method, add employee, I will first make sure that database is connected, validate employee. I will just pass that employee class here, employee object here, and I'll just validate data. I'll call this method. So, okay. Now the methods are private here. The functionality would be private to this class. So I don't have to call. I am not, as a developer, I am not going to invoke these methods. Okay, anymore. I'll just invoke this method, and this method would take care of connecting to the database, okay, and validation of all the validation part. You understood?
Yes, sir.
Any question, ask me. If you have not understood this, ask me. Because today only we are discussing these things, encapsulation and abstraction. Tomorrow we'll discuss about inheritance and polymorphism.
No doubts from my side, sir.
Parshuram? So whatever things I have explained in this class, employee class, any doubt you have? Are you sure? Okay. So what I'm saying over here is show or give the access for the things that is required for that particular developer. Okay. So this thing is called as an abstraction. Show only what is required. Show only what is required. So this is abstraction. Show only what is required. So this is a concept. Abstraction is basically concept. Okay, show only what is required. And actual implementation. Now this is where we are doing that implementation, right? So actual implementation is encapsulation. Actual implementation of this concept is called as encapsulation. Means we are hiding these things, right? We are making them private and we are hiding from that developer. Now we are giving only access to this method. So this method is a public method. So this can be accessible from other classes or other places. Okay. So this is abstraction. Concept is called as abstraction and the actual implementation is called as encapsulation. You got it? We are using mobile phone. We are using mobile phone. What we are operating is that is interface, right? We are just pressing some buttons. Okay, we are looking at the screen. So we are just using some interface. What is happening behind the scene, that is abstracted from us. Okay, that functionality is abstracted from us. Now we know in order to make a call, what button to press, what things we have to do. We have to just go to that contact and select our the thing that is a person's name from there. This is one thing we do. If we are we remember the number, we are just going to the just clicking on that phone button and going to the dial pad and just pressing that dialing that number and making a call. So this is what we have to do. But what is happening behind the scene? Okay, in order to place a call, that is just abstracted from us, right? When we get a call, what we do? We just click on that receive button, right? What is happening behind the scene? That is again abstracted from us, isn't it? You understood?
Yes,
So this
sir.
is kind of abstraction. You go to the ATM machine, ATM. You are operating ATM machine. You have that functionality, all these functionalities. Withdraw button, withdraw. You want to money, check the balance. You want to withdraw the money. Deposit machine is something. Some other machine, deposit machine is there. You want to deposit the money. So you know the functionality, what actually you have to do, but the functionality, actual functionality, that is abstracted from you, right? How that is happening. So only thing is you have to just tell the machine that who you are, okay, and that's why you have to put your pin code, and that's it. Once you are once you are authenticated, you are get through that, right? You can put the how much amount you want and just press the withdraw button. So the you are just operating, that interface is given to you. Okay, the actual functionality is abstracted. Okay, that is not shown to us, that is not visible to us. Correct? You understood, right? Abstraction and encapsulation.
Yes.
Okay. So with this, we are concluding this session, and tomorrow morning we'll move ahead and we'll discuss about inheritance and polymorphism. Any doubt? Any query?
Not from my side.
Okay then. So we'll stop here. Thanks for joining.
Okay. Bye.